Today I'm going to show you how to take this and make your own shellac finish at home. Hi, I'm Kent and welcome to Turn a Wood Bowl. Today I'm going to show you how to make your own shellac finish. Now, I realize when you hear that, you might be thinking, why in the world would I want to make my own shellac finish? I know this stuff is in the stores. I can buy it at the hardware store. There's a can of it sitting there. I can just go get it. Why do I want to make it? Well, if you make your own shellac and you compare that to the product that's available on the shelf at the store, you're going to see a big difference. Two things you're going to see a difference in is the different amount of components that are added to that product on the shelf. There's lots of different things that are added to make it last on the shelf, preservatives, chemicals, things of that nature. Also, the clarity of that. The product that you can make at home, the clarity of that product is far superior than what you're going to buy at the store. And it has to do with that preservatives and all the additives that have been added to that product. So instead of doing that and going to the store and buying a pre-made can, I'm going to show you how to make your own shellac today. So let's come in here closer and take a look at how this is made. And later I'm going to tell you why this is so important to have on hand if you're a wood turner. So here's the really cool thing about making your own shellac is you only need two ingredients. You need denatured alcohol and you need shellac flakes. Now the shellac flakes, I will have a link in the description below so you can order these. You can order these and have them delivered right to you. The cool thing about shellac flakes is these are all natural. These come from Indonesia and India, and they are basically a resin extract from a bug that lives in certain trees. The bug basically makes these casings or these drippings that go down the trees that are harvested, and they're purified and they're filtered, and then they're laid out in sheets and they're cracked apart. It almost looks like candy. They're just little flakes. The other thing to know is that these come in different colors. This is blonde. There are some darker colors as well. There's amber, there's garnet, and there's like brown and reddish colors that get a little bit darker. But I like the blonde. It works really well. Now the way this works is we're going to cut the flakes. So these flakes will be dissolved in the denatured alcohol, but we have to cut them at a certain proportion. Now the thinner you cut it, the thinner the shellac will be, and it'll be less viscous, so it will be thin and it'll run very quickly. I'm going to make what's called a 1 pound cut. That's relatively thin. It's going to be very thin shellac. You can make this thicker. And the way this works is there's going to be 1 pound of flakes to 1 gallon of denatured alcohol. Well, obviously we're not going to make a whole gallon of this, and I also highly recommend to just make what you're going to use over maybe the next month or so. And I'm basically only going to make a cup here. So the proportion of this is 8 ounces of denatured alcohol to 1 ounce of shellac flakes for a 1 pound cut. Now, if you want to know all the ratios and all that, go to my website at turnawoodbowl.com/shellac, and that's going to give you all the information. Go ahead and read that article, and down there you'll see a grid that has all of the cut formulas for the different cuts of mixing the shellac with the denatured alcohol. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to zero out the scale. You're going to need a scale. I'll go ahead and zero that out with the container on the scale. So you want to make sure the container's there and it's reading 0. And I have this set to ounces right now. And I'm going to basically just add these in until I get an ounce of flakes in the container. There's 7/10 of an ounce, 8/10. There's 1 ounce of shellac flakes right there. So again, this is going to be a 1 pound cut, which is 1 ounce of shellac flakes to 8 ounces of denatured alcohol. So I have a cup of denatured alcohol. That could have been a little more graceful. At this point, you don't need to weigh it anymore. I'm going to just use a little stir stick, stir this up a bit. And then I'm going to put the lid on. I've used like salsa jars and things like that in the past that have a relatively good seal on them, but they're not really designed for really thin liquids and or vapors. So I recommend getting something like this. It's got a nice rubber ring on it. This is a canning jar, and it's going to seal and it's not going to let that alcohol evaporate. Also, keep in mind you want to do this in a well-ventilated place, and any rags like this and that, you don't want to put them in your regular garbage can. You want to get them outside, or you want to soak them in water so it neutralizes any of that denatured alcohol, because obviously it's flammable. So we're going to let this sit overnight, and within about 24 hours we're going to have really nice shellac here. And while that's doing that, if you could do me a big favor and click the like button and subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. Also, leave me a comment below. Let me know if you're using shellac currently, if you've ever used it, and let me know what your thoughts are, and let me know if you've made your own shellac like this. So let's let this sit and we'll see what we get in about 24 hours. So here it is. It's been 24 hours, and this is what happens. It simply dissolves in the denatured alcohol. The shellac flakes dissolve in the denatured alcohol, and you've got your own homemade shellac that's super simple, and there's no preservatives or additives to it that's going to cloud up your finish and that you really just don't need in the product. Now, you still might be thinking, why would I want to make that myself? Okay, obviously it's a better quality product, but why do you want to have shellac on hand at all? Well, there's three reasons. Shellac, especially in this form, is food safe. It's non-toxic, it's all natural. Once that denatured alcohol dissolves, when you put it on the surface, this is a food safe product. Secondly, it makes a great undercoat. Well, back up. That first point is, if this is a finish in and of itself, so you can use this as a finish for any surface and just be done with it. You can put multiple layers on it, sand between those with fine grit, sandpaper, put another coat on, and you've got a finish in and of itself if you would like. You can also use this as an underlayment for a high gloss coat. So if you want to spray a high gloss lacquer finish, what this does is it helps fill in little crevices, and if you sand it and then apply another layer, it fills in those crevices and makes the surface really smooth. Smooth surfaces increases reflectivity, and then you get a nice high gloss finish. So this is a great product for that. So those are the two reasons. The third reason, which is really the best reason for wood turners to want to have this on hand and readily available, which is also a great reason why you make small batches and keep a fresh batch on hand, is that it can fill in and tighten up loose grain that's tearing out, especially in the end grain. Sometimes you have a wood bowl that may be drier wood, or you might have punky wood where the wood fibers don't want to cut really smoothly. They keep moving around, and this acts almost like a glue. Sometimes you would use CA maybe on a little spot area, but if you have the whole in-grain surface of the end of the bowl that's giving you problems, you can apply a coat or two of this, and what that's going to do, it's going to coat all those end grains, basically glue them down and tighten them up. So when you come back with a nice sharp tool and you make a nice light cut, you're just going to be cutting off the tips of those wood fibers instead of tearing them up like they were before. So this is a great tool, a tool to have in your arsenal to use for bowl grain, end grain tear out. So that's the reason to have shellac on hand, and you're just going to brush this on. The simplest way is just to brush it on, and believe it or not, you don't have to really do much. You could use denatured alcohol to clean out the brush. I don't even do that. I'll let the brush go ahead and get solid, and then when I'm ready to go back into use this, I just kind of stick it in there. The shellac with the denatured alcohol in it dissolves the shellac that's on the brush, and then the brush becomes pliable again, and I'll just use that to brush it on. It's very, very simple to use. Almost no cleanup. Like I said, I just set the brush, I usually just set it on the lid and just let it dry and then reuse it again next time. So really, really great product, super simple to make, easy to make. I have the shellac flake links in the description below, so check those out. And also go to my website, turnawoodbowl.com/shellac, and look up the information there. There's a bunch more information, plus I have that grid that shows you the exact breakdowns for whatever size you want to make and whatever cut you want to make. Again, this is a 1 pound cut, so it's a thin cut and it'll soak into the wood grain, and that's what I usually use, is a 1 pound cut. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff, and leave me a comment below. Let me know if you make your own shellac, if you have, or if you haven't, let me know if you're considering it now that you've seen this video and you see how simple it is. It's basically 2 ingredients. So leave me a comment below and I'd love to hear from you. And like I always love to say, Until next time, happy turning.